Welcome to tonight's episode, Could You Survive a Day in Ancient Rome? Boring history for sleep. Here, in the gentle hush of evening, we drift back through time into a city of stone and fire, where markets hum with voices, arenas echo with chairs, and quiet alleyways hide the softer rhythms of life. You lie still, and with each breath, imagine sandals brushing against cobblestones, the warm scent of bread rising from clay ovens, and the distant toll of a bell marking the hours of an empire that never rests. The world of Rome unfolds slowly, like a dream carried by history itself, neither hurried nor demanding, simply present. This is Mythoria, where stories of the past become soft companions for the night, easing your thoughts into calm waters. Now, let us begin. Could you survive a day in ancient Rome? Could you survive a day in ancient Rome? The awakening streets. In the early morning, you awaken to the hum of Rome, footsteps echoing on cobblestones, vendors arranging goods, and the faint aroma of bread. The city breathes with rhythm, pulling you into its pulse. You awaken slowly, as though the city itself breathes you into life. The stone beneath you is cool, worn by countless footsteps before your own. In ancient Rome, morning is not sudden, but gradual, like the soft unfurling of a scroll. You hear it first, a chorus of sounds layered over one another, faint and steady. The shuffle of sandals against cobblestones, the creak of wooden carts as they roll into the narrow streets, the distant echo of hammers striking bronze. It is not silence that greets you, but rhythm. Rome stirs awake, and you too feel yourself pulled into its pulse. The air smells of ash and bread. Bakers have been awake since the darkest hour, tending fires that glow inside clay ovens. You walk toward the scent, and every breath fills you with warmth, even though the chill of dawn clings to your skin. The bread is coarse, thick, and common. Panis plebeius, the bread of the people. You imagine it resting in the hands of both the poor and the powerful, shared across classes, though never equally. Bread in Rome is survival, and survival begins with morning hunger. As you move further, voices emerge. At first, they rise softly, like murmurs through curtains. A mother calls to her child, her words tender yet urgent. A shopkeeper mutters as he opens shutters, wood scraping against stone. A boy runs past you carrying a clay jug, water sloshing inside. The sound crisp in the early quiet. These are not grand events, but in Rome, the ordinary is the heartbeat of the empire. You are learning, slowly, that to survive here is to notice these little rhythms, to see how life hides in details. The streets are narrow, winding between tall insula, apartment blocks that seem to lean over you. Their upper levels stretch toward the sky, precarious and crowded, holding families stacked upon families. Laundry sways like pale banners between windows, carrying the faint smell of lye. From one balcony, a woman shakes dust from her blanket, sending a fine cloud into the air. You step aside as it falls, and you wonder how many have walked here before you, dodging the same dust, breathing the same air, sharing the same restless dawn. Even the animals stir. Donkeys bray as they are led to market, their hooves striking unevenly against the stones. Dogs dart between legs, searching for scraps, their ribs sharp beneath thin coats. Birds circle overhead, catching light as the sun begins to rise, painting the rooftops with soft gold. Every detail reminds you, this city is alive, not just with people, but with creatures, with echoes, with whispers that belong to centuries. Yet beneath the waking, you sense tension. Rome is never only gentle. The same streets that host bakers and children also hold watchmen and beggars. At the corner, a man crouches, his hand outstretched, palm open to the world. His eyes meet yours, weary yet piercing. Will you give him a coin? Or will you pass, as so many do, keeping your gaze fixed forward, telling yourself survival means protecting what little you have? In Rome, choices whisper early, shaping your day before the sun even fully rises. As the morning grows, the city grows louder. Vendors set up stalls, dragging baskets heavy with olives, fish, and figs. Wheels grind against stone as carts bring amphorae of wine and oil into the heart of the city. The Forum calls, though you are not yet there. You linger, suspended in the threshold between private and public life, feeling the weight of Rome pressing gently against your shoulders. The empire is vast, but in this moment, it is a single street, breathing around you, asking you to listen. You pause, leaning against a wall still damp from the night air. Your mind drifts, wondering, how long could you survive here, in this empire that feels eternal? Do you adapt to its rhythm, or do you resist, holding on to your own? The question lingers like a shadow at dawn, soft yet unshakable. And so the day begins, the market of voices. You wander toward the bustling forum, where voices rise and fall like waves. Traders call out prices, coins clink in hands, and stories spill between stalls. Here, survival is about blending in, listening, and choosing wisely. You step forward into the swelling sound of Rome's morning heart, the Forum. It is not merely a marketplace, but a stage upon which the empire rehearses itself each day. Here, commerce and conversation blur into one. Every corner hums with voices, rising and falling in uneven patterns like waves against a restless shore. If the streets were quiet murmurs, the Forum is a roar, alive with breath and bargaining. Stalls stretch before you, wooden frames covered with cloth to shade against the growing sun. The air brims with scents. Olives slick with oil, figs sticky with sweetness, fish fresh from the Tiber, still glistening with scales. Your stomach stirs, yet you know hunger in Rome is not only about food. It is about access, about power, about who can reach and who must wait. Coins exchange hands, bronze clinking softly like wind chimes, and each sound reminds you, here, survival is measured not in breaths, but in denarii. You pause near a cellar of pottery. Clay bowls, amphorae, and jars are stacked in careful balance. The merchant speaks quickly, words flowing like water, praising the strength of his wares. Yet you see the cracks, the small chips, the imperfections hidden in shadow. To survive in Rome, you must listen not only to words, but to what lies beneath them. Every deal is a negotiation, every smile a mask. You wonder if your face, too, must become a mask to walk among these voices. A slave brushes past you, his shoulders bent beneath the weight of baskets. His master follows behind, dressed in a simple but clean tunic, his eyes sharp with calculation. The slave's silence contrasts with the market's noise, reminding you that not every voice here is free to speak. You feel the layers of Rome pressing in. Some shout to be heard, some whisper, and some remain forever silent. Further ahead, a group gathers around a storyteller. His voice cuts through the market's rhythm, painting scenes of battles and heroes, of gods and omens. Children lean forward, their eyes wide, while older men nod knowingly, recognizing familiar tales dressed in new words. Even here, where trade rules the day, stories hold power. They sell not goods, but meaning. And in Rome, meaning can feed the spirit when bread does not. The heat grows as the sun climbs higher, and so too does the crowd. Senators glide through the forum, their togas arranged in folds of dignity, speaking of politics even as they glance at fruit or bread. Ordinary citizens gather near them, ears straining for fragments of news, whispers of war, debates of law, rumors of taxes. To survive in this market, you must not only feed your body, but your mind, listening to the empire's heartbeat hidden inside gossip and decree. You buy a small piece of bread, warm and rough in your hands. As you taste it, you realize how survival here feels both simple and fragile. A coin exchanged, a crust eaten, a step forward, yet every act depends on the shifting tides of economy and favor. Tomorrow the price may rise. Tomorrow the bread may not reach you at all. Rome feeds its people, yes, but only just enough to keep the machine turning. Around you, voices swell once more. A woman argues with a merchant, her tone sharp, her gestures fierce. A child tugs at her sleeve, hungry, impatient. The crowd shifts, pressing you closer to strangers, their warmth mingling with your own. For a moment, you feel yourself dissolve into the rhythm, your heartbeat aligning with the city's. Rome does not ask if you belong. It assumes you do, as long as you can endure. And as you stand there, listening to the market of voices, you wonder quietly, if your own voice were to rise, would it be heard? Or would it be swallowed, like so many others, into the endless roar of the empire's heart? The question drifts with you as you leave the forum behind, carrying the hum of voices inside your chest. Bread and spectacle. As midday comes, you follow the crowd toward the amphitheater. The Romans crave bread and entertainment, the roar of the arena shaping the city's spirit. The thrill excites you, yet you sense how fragile safety is in such places. The sun climbs higher, and the rhythm of the city shifts. Morning's hum of trade fades into something louder, more urgent, more theatrical. The crowd begins to flow in one direction, drawn as if by an invisible current. You follow, swept along narrow streets that widen into a grand, echoing space. The amphitheater. Its arches rise above you like the ribs of a giant beast, holding within them both promise and danger. Inside, the air feels electric. Tens of thousands gather, their voices rumbling low at first, then bursting into thunder as the games begin. You find a place among them, pressed shoulder to shoulder with strangers. Their excitement vibrates through you, a tide of anticipation you cannot escape. Rome does not rest on food alone. It survives on spectacle, on distraction, on the drama that binds the many to the few. Bread fills the body, but spectacle feeds the spirit, shaping loyalty to the empire. A trumpet sounds, clear and sharp. The crowd hushes for a heartbeat, then roars again as men stride into the arena. Gladiators, their armor gleaming in the sun, faces shadowed by helmets, carry both fear and pride in their bodies. You watch them closely. They are both victims and stars, bound by fate yet celebrated by thousands. Their survival depends on strength, but also on chance and on the fickle mercy of the crowd. You wonder what it must feel like to have your life weighed in cheers. The sand beneath their feet darkens with sweat, with dust, sometimes with blood. Yet the audience craves more, their cries rising in unison, filling the air with demands. You feel torn, part of you recoils from the violence, while another part is pulled into its rhythm. Rome is teaching you that survival is not always gentle. It can be brutal, shaped by forces larger than yourself. The games mirror the empire, ruthless, ordered, spectacular. As the contest unfolds, you notice the small gestures of power. A noble reclines in a shaded seat, eating fruit while deciding a gladiator's fate with the lift of a hand. Nearby, commoners strain their voices, believing their cries can sway the outcome. In this place, survival feels like theater. Roles assigned, lines spoken, endings uncertain. The question is not only who wins, but who controls the script. A basket of bread is passed through the stands, loaves handed to the hungry. The empire ensures the people's stomachs are filled even as their eyes feast on violence. Bread and spectacle, panem et circenses, the formula that keeps Rome steady, its citizens pacified, its rulers secure. You taste the rough crust, still warm, and realize it is not generosity but strategy. Rome feeds you, entertains you, and in doing so, claims you. The day burns hotter and the games stretch on. Animals are released, lions pacing with heavy shoulders, their roars slicing through the crowd's cries. The danger feels both real and unreal, as though you stand in a dream. You wonder if the gladiators feel the same, caught between fear and performance, life and death blurred into one endless spectacle. As shadows lengthen across the arena, the crowd's energy shifts. Laughter, cheers, gasps, a wave of sound that never stops, wrapping you in its grip. You realize that survival in Rome is not only about bread on your table. It is about finding your place in this endless performance, knowing when to cheer, when to remain silent, when to blend into the tide of voices. When the final trumpet sounds and the crowd begins to scatter, you rise slowly. The amphitheater feels quieter now, though echoes linger in the arches. You step outside, blinking in the light, carrying with you the weight of what you have seen. Rome has shown you its heart, both generous and ruthless, feeding its people even as it tests their endurance. And as you walk away, you cannot help but ask, if the empire thrives on bread and spectacle, what happens to those who refuse to watch? Baths of warm waters. The afternoon leads you into the public baths, where heat, steam, and chatter wrap around you. Business deals mix with gossip, while marble walls echo with laughter. In Rome, even relaxation is a lesson in politics and presence. The afternoon sun rests heavy on the rooftops, and your body too begins to feel its weight. The streets of Rome, once alive with shouts and laughter, soften into a slower rhythm as citizens drift toward a different kind of gathering place. The baths. You follow them, drawn not by command, but by curiosity, your steps echoing against marble pathways until you stand before grand doors carved with patterns of vines and waves. Inside, the air shifts. It is thick with warmth and dampness, fragrant with oil and faint traces of smoke from the furnaces below. These are no simple wash houses. They are temples of water, places where the empire gathers not only to cleanse the body, but to rehearse the daily rituals of belonging. You step onto the mosaic floor, its tiles cool beneath your feet, shimmering with images of dolphins and gods of the sea. Each detail whispers that even in leisure, Rome carries its myths. You pass through the apoditerium, the dressing room where men leave their sandals and tunics, handing possessions to attendants. The murmur of voices rises like steam, soft and steady. Some speak of politics, others of trade, while a few laugh at jokes that carry echoes of taverns and markets. You feel how survival here depends on presence, not just showing your body, but showing you belong in the conversation. The warmth deepens as you move toward the tepidarium, the lukewarm chamber. Here, time slows. The water laps gently against the stone, the sound like a heartbeat in the silence. You lower yourself into it, the heat embracing you, seeping into your muscles, loosening the tightness of the morning. Around you, men recline against the edges, their voices dropping low, private, yet always aware of listening ears. Deals are struck here as easily as they are in the Forum. In Rome, even relaxation is a negotiation. Further on, the caldarium awaits, a chamber of hot water and steam. Entering feels like stepping into the breath of the earth itself. The heat wraps around you, thick and consuming, until sweat beads across your skin. You breathe slowly, carefully, letting the warmth draw out not only the dust of the streets, but also the weight of thought. The room vibrates with echoes, the marble walls amplifying every sigh, every splash, every whispered name. Here, the empire teaches you another truth. Survival is not only about endurance, but about release. To let go, even for a moment, is to restore strength for what lies ahead. And then comes the frigidarium, the cold plunge. The water bites sharply, shocking your body into wakefulness. For a moment, breath escapes you, your heart quickens, and then stillness. The cold clears your mind, sharpens your senses. Around you, others laugh as they emerge, droplets shining on their skin like jewels. This is the rhythm of the baths. Heat and cold, tension and release, body and spirit moving between extremes until balance is found again. Yet beneath the surface, you notice the hierarchy. The wealthy recline more comfortably, attended by slaves who rub oil into their skin. The poor make do with smaller spaces, watching from the edges. The baths, though shared, are never equal. Still, everyone comes, because here, for a few hours, Rome's divisions blur. You float in the water and realize that in this moment, you are part of something larger. A city that sustains itself not only with bread and spectacle, but with rituals of care. As the afternoon drifts on, voices soften. Light filters through high windows, catching the steam, turning it into golden haze. You sit quietly, breathing slowly, feeling your body lighter, your mind calmer. And yet, beneath the calm, questions remain. How much of survival is found in these waters, and how much is illusion? Does the empire restore you to endure its weight, or does it quietly bind you tighter to its rhythm? The thought lingers as you rise, droplets falling from your skin onto the stone floor. You leave the baths not only cleansed, but transformed, carrying both relief and unease in equal measure. And as you step back into the streets, the sun lowering above Rome, you cannot help but wonder, in a city built on power, is peace ever truly your own? The Feast of Shadows. Evening arrives, and you sit at a small feast. Plates of olives, cheese, and roasted meat are passed around. Yet beneath the flavors lingers hierarchy. Who reclines, who serves, who remains silent? The table whispers of power. Evening begins to settle over Rome, the sun sinking low, painting rooftops in shades of amber and fire. The streets, once crowded with buyers and sellers, soften into quieter movements. Torches are lit, their flames flickering against walls, guiding you toward a villa where the evening meal awaits. To dine in Rome is more than nourishment. It is ritual, hierarchy, and shadow all at once. You enter a triclinium, the dining room. Its name comes from the couches arranged in 3 lines around a low table. Here, guests recline on their left sides, leaving the right hand free for eating. You notice at once that not all places are equal. The most honored recline closest to the host, while others, further down, accept their lesser positions with silence. The meal has not yet begun, but already the hierarchy is clear. Survival here is not only in the food you eat, but in where you are allowed to sit. Servants move quietly, carrying trays of olives, cheese, and fresh bread. Small bowls of garum, the salty fish sauce Romans crave, release a sharp tang into the air. A roasted chicken is placed before the guests, its skin golden, glistening with oil and herbs. Grapes wait in baskets, their skins dark as dusk. The table feels abundant, yet you sense the unspoken rule. Abundance is not shared equally beyond these walls. Outside, many eat little more than barley porridge, while here, flavors mingle in luxury. Conversation rises slowly, like the smoke of lamps. A senator speaks of politics, his tone measured, words heavy with unspoken meaning. Another tells a story of war, each detail polished, meant to remind others of his valor. Laughter erupts at intervals, sharp and quick, but you sense the tension beneath it. To feast in Rome is to perform. Every word is weighed, every gesture watched. The table is a stage, and silence is as revealing as speech. Servants move quietly, carrying trays of olives, cheese, and fresh bread. Small bowls of garum, the salty fish sauce Romans crave, release a sharp tang into the air. A roasted chicken is placed before the guests, its skin golden, glistening with oil and herbs. Grapes wait in baskets, their skins dark as dusk. The table feels abundant, yet you sense the unspoken rule. Abundance is not shared equally beyond these walls. Outside, many eat little more than barley porridge, while here, flavors mingle in luxury. Conversation rises slowly, like the smoke of lamps. A senator speaks of politics, his tone measured, words heavy with unspoken meaning. Another tells a story of war, each detail polished, meant to remind others of his valor. Laughter erupts at intervals, sharp and quick, but you sense the tension beneath it. To feast in Rome is to perform. Every word is weighed, every gesture watched. The table is a stage, and silence is as revealing as speech. You take a sip of watered wine. Strong flavors dulled by dilution, for Romans believe drinking unmixed wine marks one as uncivilized. The cup feels heavy in your hand, not for its weight, but for its meaning. Sharing wine is sharing trust, yet it also binds you to the group. To decline too often is to mark yourself apart, and survival in Rome depends on belonging, even when belonging feels like surrender. As the evening stretches, musicians enter, plucking strings that echo softly across the room. A dancer moves with slow grace, her shadow bending across the mosaic floor. The guests watch, entertained, their eyes reflecting torchlight. Yet you wonder about her. Is this performance choice or duty? In Rome, freedom and bondage weave so closely that the line often blurs. Nightfall over empire. At last, darkness falls, torches flicker, and the city exhales. You walk narrow alleys where shadows stretch long. Survival here is not only about food and safety, but about knowing your place within an empire that never sleeps. The night has fully arrived, and Rome exhales like a tired giant. Torches flicker along the streets, their flames bending with the evening breeze. The sound of the city changes once more. Where morning brought bustle and midday carried thunder, night brings a softer rhythm, though never silence. Rome never sleeps completely. It only shifts, offering its face in new shadows. You walk narrow alleys where walls seem to lean closer together, casting long silhouettes. The stones beneath your feet are cool now, still holding echoes of the day's heat. Above you, the sky's vast, scattered with stars, though their light feels fragile compared to the glow of the torches. A hush settles, yet beneath it you catch small, sharp sounds. The scurry of a rat, the hushed laughter of lovers, the cry of a distant vendor selling roasted nuts to those still awake. Every sound reminds you that survival is never suspended, even when darkness falls. At corners, watchmen stand with spears, their faces stern. They scan the shadows, but you know they cannot guard every street. Danger lingers at night, thieves, drunkards, rivalries spilling from taverns. To live here is to know that even rest requires caution. You wrap your cloak tighter, each step deliberate, listening carefully for footsteps not your own. Rome is vast, and its embrace is not always gentle. Yet the city also reveals a softer side at night. Through open windows you glimpse families gathered around small lamps, sharing final words before sleep. A mother hums to a child, her voice drifting like a lullaby into the street. The melody is simple, timeless, carrying comfort that defies the empire's weight. In that moment, you realize survival in Rome is not only about bread, not only about spectacle or politics. It is about these quiet bonds, invisible yet strong, tying one life to another. You reach a hill where the view widens. From here, the city spreads out in a sea of roofs and columns, temples gleaming faintly in torchlight. The Colosseum looms in the distance, its arches dark now, resting after the roar of the day. The aqueducts stretch like stone rivers across the land, carrying water through the sleeping empire. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with the night air, feeling both small and infinite at once. Rome's greatness presses against you, but so does its fragility. You wonder how many voices it takes to keep this empire alive. Bakers rising before dawn, merchants bargaining in the heat, gladiators spilling blood in the arena, servants carrying food in quiet obedience. And you wonder, too, how many voices are lost, unheard, swallowed into the city's endless rhythm. Survival is not promised, it is carved day by day, choice by choice, in streets both bright and shadowed. A bell tolls in the distance, marking the hour. Its sound rolls slowly across rooftops, blending with the murmur of the wind. You close your eyes, letting the sound wash over you. The empire feels eternal, yet you know no empire lasts forever. The stones beneath your feet will one day crumble. The voices that fill the forum will fade. And yet, in this night, Rome is whole, alive, vast enough to cradle your thoughts. You make your way back through the winding streets, torchlight guiding your path. At last, you find a quiet corner where the noise falls away, replaced by the steady rhythm of your own breath. You lie down, the stone cool beneath you, the sky stretching wide above. The city murmurs around you like a lullaby, its pulse steady, its shadows long. As your eyes grow heavy, you reflect. Survival in Rome is not just about enduring its noise or obeying its rules. It is about listening to the streets, to the voices, to the silence between. It is about finding space within the empire's immensity where your own heart can still rest. And as sleep begins to claim you, one question lingers, soft and endless. In an empire that never sleeps, can you rest beneath the eternal sky? Now the empire fades behind your eyes. The voices of the market, the roar of the arena, the warmth of the baths, the shadows of the feast, all drift into silence. What remains is only the steady rhythm of your breath, the quiet beat of your own heart. Rome continues beyond you, vast and unyielding, but tonight it no longer asks for your attention. The streets carry on, the torches burn, yet you are free to close your eyes, to surrender your body to rest. Like the stars above the empire, you shine and then soften, joining the quiet of the night. Survival has brought you here, to this gentle ending, where the empire sleeps around you, and you too may finally sleep. And so, the day in ancient Rome comes to its quiet end. From the waking streets, to the crowded forum, to the baths and feasts, and finally the night, you have walked its rhythms, felt its weight, and rested in its shadows. Now the empire fades into silence, leaving only the soft echo of torches in the dark, and the steady breath of the city as it drifts into sleep. May your own mind rest as easily, carried by calm and by story, until morning greets you again. Thank you for listening here with Mythoria. Good night, and sleep well.